Hi there, my name's Vince from mymatevince.com, and in this video today is week 5 of the eBay repair challenge between myself, Tronics Fix, Tampa Tech and the Retro Future. So this is the last week and we can choose any item that we want. So on week 4 I did this vintage 2XL robot and I had it up for £60. Unfortunately I didn't get £60 for it, but I did get £50, so I'm more than happy with that. Had quite a few offers on it actually, but a lot of them were very low. I had one very good offer, but it was from a different country and I didn't want to get involved with the hassles of posting abroad. So yeah, with this one I think I was offered, I think it was £40 or £45. I asked them if they could up it to 50, which they did, and yeah, that is it. So I got £50 for it. So there's definitely a profit on it, but again, not a huge amount once you take into account fees and stuff. So now let's move on to week 5 item, and let's see if we can turn a profit on this one. Apologies for the weird angle. Now this is quite strange. If you have a look at this now, at the moment I'm just using my cable to connect it to the TV and I'm in controller port 1, and if you have a look, can you see it's not moving? Yeah? Right, so this is what Danny would have done, and then put it into the next one, and now can you see it's moving? Yeah? So then you think it's controller 1, which is controller port 1, which is 40. If I put it into number 3, it's also moving. Hopefully you can hear, you can see it counting down there. And controller port 4. Yeah, so that says to me that controller port 1 is 40. But now watch. If I get this controller here, the other controller, and plug it into controller port 1, you will see that it is actually working. So let me go over here. Yeah, so I've been wiggling it around, and basically I think it's all to do with just dirty contacts, because now if I put the first controller back in again, you can see it's now working. But if I take it out and do it again, sometimes it won't work, so it'll probably do it every single time now. Right, let's give it a wiggle up. There we go. Right, so when I push it up, can you see now it's lost connection, it's not doing anything at all. And yet when I push it down, hold on now, give it a wiggle. There we go. There. It's working again. So I think it all just needs a good clean. And looking closely at it, I'm not sure if this has been stored outside, because have a look in here. Look at the rust in there. That should all be nice and shiny and silver. And also if you have a look round here, this side, to begin with, we have a huge amount of rust here. And again, if you look on the inside, it's all rusted, yeah? So in between these grills here should be nice and clean. You can see the odd bit which is shiny, but the rest is just dull. So I think with this one, I think it just needs to be taken apart and given a really good clean. Now I'm just going to check the AV lead just to confirm that it is also not working. I'm wondering whether again it is dirt, because if you have a look at this, again it looks all kind of slightly corroded and like messy and stuff. So I'm just going to test out this lead now. Okay, so I'm on the dodgy lead now and I'm in port 1 here, and as you can see it is displaying up there, and I can hear sound as well. So again, I think everything just needs a really good clean. I would say that this has been stored maybe up in an attic with a lot of condensation, and dampness has got into it and corroded things, or I don't know, maybe even it's been dumped outside or something and somebody's picked it up. I really don't know. Let's just see if this tray's working. Yeah, that's working. So let's give this thing, let's take it apart. Now this is going to be fun for me because I've never taken it apart before, and we'll have a look, see what the inside looks like. Right, so all I'm going to be doing is taking it apart and giving it a really good clean. Now just to show you what a clean Xbox, well, this is my one, it's not even clean, but if you have a look, this is what it should look on the inside. Can you see it's all nice and silver? Yeah, and that's on both sides as well, like the shielding on the inside, yeah? So this is never going to look very good because you'll see it more when I take it apart. But I just hope the corrosion is just kind of on the outer shield and hasn't gone through to absolutely everything.
So really now it's just going to be a case of fast forwarding through most of this and then just dismantle the whole thing. I'm going to clean everything, the ports here, I'm going to clean the controllers, I'm going to clean the controller ports, because again you can see corrosion. You can see corrosion on there as well. So I just need to give everything a really good clean, because I think it's just making intermittent contacts. As well with the AV lead, you get the idea of what I'm going to be doing now. Okay, hopefully that will be at least the same as before, if not better. So now I've got to put everything back together, and what I'm going to do is give everything the final clean. I need to clean up the controllers and everything, and then give it all a good polish at the end. Happy with how that has come out. It looks as good as my one now. Look at that. And even when you look in there, yes, it's not shiny, but it just looks, kind of looks like a nice finish. Looks like a brushed finish. I'm really happy with how that's come out, because this was in quite a state. And new thermal paste as well. Well happy with that. So now I have to clean up the controllers and also the AV cable, and then we can do a final test. Now what I've got to do is give it a good test, make sure that everything's working, make sure the discs are working and stuff, and then I'll show you again working at the end. Right, I've also cleaned up the belt as well that does the disc tray in and out, so it already worked perfectly beforehand, but it was quite dusty, so I've just cleaned that up again. Okay, so I'm trying to set it up and I've run into problems, the same problem that was happening when it was sold. Now I think I've worked out what it is, so check this out. I've got this controller into port 1 and this controller into port 2. Now if I go back up to here, you can see that port 1 is working, so when I go across you can see it's moving. Yeah? But now port 2 is not working. You can see it doesn't do anything, and if I unplug port 1, port 2 still doesn't do anything. Yeah? So it would make you think that it's actually the port, but check this out. Let me just plug in number 1 again. You can see that that's still working. Yeah? Now if I use a different controller, so let's unplug this controller here and let's use this controller here, which is my one, you will now see that up on the screen it will actually change the digits. So it's not the port, it's the controller, and more interestingly still, it's not the controller, it's just the plug at the beginning. So watch this now. If I unplug that one and get this suspect controller, take this end bit off and then plug it into here. This is like a breakaway that they do, so if you trip over it, it just pulls from here rather than pulling the whole console off the shelf. Now watch. Can you see it's now working? So basically it's just the end bit that is faulty. So what I'm going to do is I am going to clean up these bits on the outside. You can see there's like rust patches on the outside. Just in case it's this kind of ground thing here which is stopping it from working, and I'll see if that makes any difference. Right, okay, so what I did is I just got a fiberglass pen and I scraped it along here, but you can still see there is rust up there. And then I got some of this deoxit and I placed it inside and also on top here. And now it is working. Yeah, it's working fine now. Just try plugging in another one. Yes, that's fine. I'm going to try plugging in all three just in case it's some issue with the more that you plug in, the worse it gets. Yeah, that's working fine. Right, so I'm going to do some more tests, and in fact I'm going to get another controller down and plug in 4, and then if there is some issue with like the chip that controls these, then maybe by plugging in more it's going to put it under strain and stop it from working. Okay, everything's working really well. I've just plugged in a network cable and it is connecting, but obviously Xbox Live is not found because that was turned off. Right, we've just been playing a bit of 2005 FIFA and it's working absolutely fine, and considering that this is just on normal AV, normal composite, the yellow, white and red, the graphics are actually pretty good. I haven't played this game before on the Xbox. But yeah, of course it's not as good as the 360 or the Xbox One, but it is still more than playable. So yeah, I think if this was on component, then it should look better again. Right, so what I'll have to do now is I'll have to get this all boxed up and ready for sale, and then we'll see what we can get for it. If I'm honest with you, I think it's going to be unlikely that I'm going to make any money on this at all by the time you take into account postage. But for me, I really enjoyed taking this one apart. I think it's lovely on the inside, really well made, and I would definitely like to do more again in future. So all I had to do really here was completely clean it up and change the thermal paste, and also just mess around with that little lead from the controller, so it really wasn't anything major, but still it was a very, very dirty console. And now the thing is absolutely, well, it's not immaculate, but it is very, very clean. I think anybody would be happy with it. So that is it. If me or my son gets any good goals, I will just quickly film that. But next time you'll see this, you will see what it's going to go for sale for. Right, my son's just very proud of this goal, so I just want to show you this. So check this out, look. He's Arsenal. Watch this now. There. Couple of touches. Check this. Ready? Here it comes. And boom! Look at that. Now that is a pretty good goal. Right, now I'm going to get this thing sold.
So I listed on eBay for just under 45 UK pounds and it's sold. It took just over a week to sell and there was very, very little interest in it. But still, it's sold. There's not going to be much profit on that by the time you take out all the fees, but it still definitely is a profit. So that is it for this particular eBay challenge. Now next week we will be doing the results, you know, seeing how much we actually made or quite possibly lost, and then finding out of the 4 of us who is the overall winner. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and check out next week's video where we will find out who is the champion of the eBay Repair Challenge, the 3rd series. Take care. Bye now.